Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are covering the death of Robert Card, the mass shooter of Maine, who was on the run and no one could explain where this guy was on the run. They find his car, they find it near woods, and then they would later find him dead. But here's what we're finding out. Originally, when the story was breaking that he was found shot to death, there was actually some wrong things being said. They literally said at the beginning, when this first broke, that he was found with 2 self-inflicted wounds or 2 shots to himself, which made me think, okay, could he have done that to himself? But now things have slowed down a little bit. As usual, you don't want to run with things right away. Give it time, let it come out, because all you're doing is sharing misinformation quite a bit. And so it's careful on how we approach these type of situations, because at the end of the day, a lot of YouTubers, we want to get stuff out there. But do we really want to share misinformation? We want to try to be as accurate as we can, because even the media who gets paid to do this will bring misinformation, because sometimes other media outlets will report that. At first, when this mass shooting was said to have occurred, the number that was going around was 22 people were done wrong. And so people were reporting on 22 victims. That was not accurate. And that's why we have to take it with a grain of salt anytime we're getting anything off of the internet, right? Even the media, right? There's a lot of places out there that just want to get the story out, and they're running with things too fast. And so we're going to dive into what we know about Robert Card and his heinous act on the state of Maine into 3 different areas. See, another false reporting. At first, they thought it was 3 different shooters, or at least multiple shooters. No, it was one person. That's why we have to be very careful. Granted, as the person receiving, listening, trying to figure out what's going on, that's it. But for the YouTuber who is trying to also get the information out, let's try to be accurate. Let's try to be careful. So let's go ahead and dive into what we know about the Maine mass shooter, Robert Card, who has now been found dead in the woods with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the cabeza. And so we're going to dive into this. Let's get into it. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Robert Card, the man who is suspected of gunning down 18 people and injuring so many more. What we find out is this guy might have been losing it, needed help a little sooner, and did not get the help he needed. And now here we are hurting and wishing this did not happen. But here's the truth, my friends. Here's the truth. Mental health is a really big problem. And from what we're finding out, this guy was suffering from a lot of mental health problems. You see, he was a former service member. He's been a part of serving our country. And, when you stop and you think about this, everyone in Maine was on high alert. High alert for obvious reasons. So we're going to be diving into what we know in Robert Card's case. Now, the Maine mass shooter, Robert Card, he has been found dead in the woods with, as I shared, a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his, head, which would end a 48-hour manhunt involving over 300 members of law enforcement. The sheriff's office wrote on Facebook, the suspect in Wednesday night's shooting has been located and is deceased. Robert Card, 40 years old, He was found at 7:45 p.m. near Lisbon Falls, where his car was abandoned shortly after Wednesday's massacre. So they found his car, and then they would search all over the wooded area. His body was reportedly located near a recycling plant where he was recently fired, which adds another turn of events, right? It was unclear how long he had been there dead. They don't really know. And so this is an ongoing investigation. He's going to try to figure out why he would do this. Was some of these people targeted, which looks like they might have been, but again, an ongoing investigation. And so the bottom line is the suspect in Wednesday night's shooting has been located and is deceased because there was a huge manhunt for this man. The White House even released a statement saying that the past 2 days have been tragic for the entire country. This has been a tragic 2 days, not just for Lewiston, Maine, but for our entire country. That is what the President of the United States said in a statement. And he said, once again, an American community and American families have been devastated by gun violence. And of course, anytime anything like this happens, you hear a lot of people about controlling the gun laws and getting rid of guns and getting rid of certain type of guns. Personally, I'm not a big political person. I don't really know if I can even give a fair statement. I believe no matter what, bad people are going to find bad ways to get their dues done, right? And so I don't believe that. But let me tell you what, the city of Lewiston in Maine, they were on high alert. They were literally, people were running down to the local gun stop and getting a gun. They were on high alert. There was a shelter in place order, which was finally lifted on Friday after the discovery of Card's body. Meanwhile, cell phones across the Lewiston area, it received the public safety alert shortly after the news break. Literally, everyone was even posting to Twitter about the message that they got about this. It said, the search is over for Mr. Card. The caution is over. Hunting may resume. And literally, they sent out a public safety alert across all cell phones across the Lewiston area. And so Janet Mills, governor of Maine, she said on Friday night that she herself was breathing a sigh of relief knowing that Card is no longer a threat to anyone. Now, you know, a couple days ago, I talked about the judge's killer who did the unthinkable to his own self, right? And my thought process was I'd rather him see his day in court, go under the jail system. But my feelings feel a little different for this man on your screen. I'm glad we don't have to follow this. This guy does not deserve to be breathing. I know that's probably wrong, but what he did, the anger, the hurt that he has caused all across. But, you know, you got to backtrack and ask yourself, how much does mental health play a role in this? And does that mean it could have been avoided? I don't really know. You know, I am not a psychologist, a health doctor, or anything like that. But Robert Card, you know, he's an Army reservist who had suffered a recent mental breakdown. He opened fire at a bowling alley and bar in Lewiston. And so this guy was not he lost it. You know, and John Reardon, who lives near the scene, he himself expressed, so happy this nightmare is over. He told the Sun Journal, hopefully the families can get some closure. It will be nice to get back to some state of normalcy. Even across the country, my friends, I'm in networking meetings, right? And literally, one of the first people that came into the network meeting said, the guy is still on the run. I was kind of shocked, like, this guy is like 86 years old. He's still tuning into like what is going on in this world. You know, some people don't like to know what's going on really because it brings them down, and I don't blame them. That was kind of like, that used to be me back in the day. But truth is, we have to be aware of what we need to be aware of. And so this was the talk of the town. My comment to the gentleman that I was talking about with this was, I don't think they're going to find him alive. And So far, it looks like I might have been right, but that's not even the bottom line. The bottom line is these people deserve justice. They did not deserve to be done like this. And this is where it's like, if mental health is the problem, we need to figure out a way to get help before it's too late. Last year, there were 29 murders in the entire state, and this shooting literally shocked the rural community. This is not something that happens on a regular basis. They didn't know even how to approach this. But they were literally all over. There were literally people with, they kept hearing, oh, they're drawn on a home. Is he gonna be in there? And normally that's just how they approach it. So of course, other people in the media or other people, they're just like, hey, there's something going on over there. Maybe he's been found. But that's just how they were approaching these homes that they were, that they were affiliated with Robert Card. And so now we wait to see, okay, why? Could this have been prevented? Was there any red signs? Were there red flags? Were there warning signs to help people know that this is actually happening? And truth is, Robert Card did the unthinkable, and now we want to know why. And after this all came out, there was a little sigh of relief. You see, you can even see Suzanne Collins, who is the senator from Maine. She issues a statement thanking law enforcement for their efforts. Tonight, Mainers can breathe a collective sigh of relief thanks to the brave first responders who worked night and day to find this killer. When President Biden called me this evening to tell me the perpetrator of the heinous attacks in Lewiston had been found, we both expressed our profound appreciation for the courage and determination of these brave men and women. I want to also thank Governor Mills for her steadfast leadership, the healthcare workers who cared for the victims, the city officials who have worked tirelessly, and the people of Maine who came together in the wake of this attack. To the families who loved ones and to those injured by this attack, I know that no words can diminish the shock, pain, and justifiable anger you feel. It is my hope that you will find solace and strength in knowing that you are in the hearts of people throughout Maine and across the nation. And, truth is, at the end of the day, we wish this didn't happen, but it did. And you know what's even worse? It's going to happen again, unfortunately. It seems like mass shooting is up in numbers. I don't really keep track of this, but what I do keep track of is all the news, because I look for articles to go ahead and see what's out there in the news for my channel, right? And so I see stuff all the time. Domestic violence seems to be number one, heartbreaking stuff, right? And so the search for this Robert Card literally was on and on and on. You see, where he was found was at the Maine recycling. He had been fired from his job at the recycling plant and had split from a recent partner. Things were hitting rock bottom for this man. Now, a colleague at the recycling plant told the Daily Beast that he had behaved violently and oddly towards co-workers in the last year. And Jeremy Bowen, who was Card's driver helper at Maine Recycling, told the Daily Beast, when I saw it was him, I was not surprised. A lot of other helpers he was working with were starting to say he was acting violently and oddly. And one person said, I heard about the shootings on the news, and like I said, I really wasn't surprised. In July, he was sectioned for 2 weeks after he said he was hearing voices and threatened to open fire at his army base. My friends, that's a red flag. My friends, is that a sign that something should have been done and they should have taken that more serious? I mean, we're talking about some things he was saying to other people. Again, he was sanctioned, something like that, for 2 weeks after he said he was hearing voices, and he even threatened to open fire at the army base. That is a huge threat. If he would have threatened someone and said in an open forum and said, I'm going to do something to the president, they would have been on him right away, and that dude would have probably been in jail or something. But someone did not take this threat seriously, I guess. Now, his sister-in-law, Katie Card, she shared as well. Okay? She said that he had been fitted with hearing aids and became convinced that he could hear people talking about him at the bowling alley and bar he would later attack. She told the Daily Beast that he truly believed he was hearing people say things. This all just happened within the last few months. And she said he would get mad when they told him the voices he overheard at Just in Time Recreation Bowling Alley and Shemengi's Bar and Grill were only in his head. And, the sister-in-law told the Beast things have kind of gone downhill recently. We tried to listen to him and tell him that nobody was... Excuse me. And that nobody was talking about him. And she said that yesterday, as the story was unfolding, we prayed that Rob had nothing to do with this. But when we heard the two places where the shooting happened, my husband rushed home. They knew that something happened there. And, at the end of the day, rest in peace to all the victims that this man took. Robert Card, 40 years old, and he was on the run for days after this rampage. You had hundreds of law enforcement officers searching for Card, who again is a petroleum supply specialist. He even received psychiatric treatment the summer after he reported hearing voices and having thoughts of hurting other soldiers. I mean, that's a sign, my friends. That is a sign, and it's kind of disturbing that more wasn't done. Now, according to Maine State Police, 7 people died Wednesday night at Just in Time Recreation Bowling Alley. 6 were male and 1 was female. 8 more people, all male, died at Shemengi's Bar and Grill. 3 others died after being taken to the hospitals. Now, Auburn City Councilor Leroy Walker, he told news outlets that his son Joe, a manager at the Bar and Grill, died going after the shooter with a butcher knife. Now, this is where it's like you had a lot of dads, sons, families. It's not like it was, they say that he was targeting some people and took others with them. And he even went after the deaf community because he felt they were doing something behind his back. And, this is where it's like, oh my God, you had Bill Young and his 14-year-old son. They were shot and killed at the Just in Time Recreation Bowling Alley. Bill's brother would share that with them, This is where it's like these things you wish did not happen. And these victims deserve justice. My friends, if you're a person of prayer, please pray that the families get justice, that the families find some way of healing. Because let's be real, that family will never be okay. Any of those families, even Robert Card's family, they have been cooperating with the police. They didn't turn their back on everyone, and they wanted to find, and they wished it wasn't happening, but they wanted justice as well. They were heartbroken for the victims. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. I just wanted to jump on here, let you know Robert Card has been found dead. Please, if you are a person of prayer, please pray for the families, that they find justice, that they find some solace, that they find a way to keep the victims' names in front and find some good cause behind this. I don't even know what could be good about this, right? Excuse me. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, my friends. Peace.